It's in the late 1970s.
So I got a chance to see and hear what was going on, not so much from the campaign, but how it affected the congressional office, and just got to see the strong leader that he was. So, like I said, he set a tone for us just because he stood for principles, and the principles were stronger than anything, and that's what he taught us, that you got to stand behind what you believe in.
Clay was married to his wife, Carol Ann, for 71 years before she passed away earlier this year in March. Stuart McMillan, KMOX News.
The latest snapshot of the economy across a 6-state region that includes Missouri and Illinois shows things are holding steady.
Reports on consumer spending have been mixed, but the labor market numbers continue to be solid, generally unchanged. Not a lot of businesses having massive layoffs or anything like that, but also kind of a pullback in hiring. And then inflation pressures remain relatively modest, but contacts do expect some of those non-labor costs to pick up in the coming months.
Chuck Gaskin, senior economist at the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, tells KMOX conditions did improve slightly nationwide, but some areas did show signs of a slowing economy. And taking a look at the roads, we've got a couple of issues to pass along. A crash on 270 south at Dorset. That's on the right side. A stalled vehicle on 44 going east at Jefferson on the right side. A crash on 6440 going westbound just past 270 approaching the West County area. Left 3 lanes are closed. 6440 west at 270. And the forecast from Dave Murray as we get into this evening. The scattered storms will eventually peter out. Low 72. For tomorrow, we've got sunshine. A few storms will stick around during the day with a high of 85. 75 for tomorrow night. For Saturday, sunshine, hot and humid with a high of 92. And again, taking a look at the radar right now, this is moving across the Mississippi River. Really, the heaviest of the rain is just to the south of downtown. It's getting into Cahokia and Sauget and Dupo in just a few minutes, but there's rain all the way up to the north through Brooklyn, Madison, Granite City, and further to the north. Right now, we've got thunderstorms. It is 76 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
The following is a KMOX Sports Special.
Our city! Our spirit!
Welcome to the City Spotlight.
It's in! City goal!
Now, your host, Jen Siess on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
It's soccer time on KMOX. Welcome into the downtown studios. I'm Jen Siess, and I'll be your host to this 1-hour show. Trying to follow a guy like Nate Gatter is a big task, and Matt Pauley when he's here. So I'll do my best to cover some soccer here tonight. Daniel Hinkamp is alongside, making sure everything gets played and pressed appropriately. Well, it's a winning all around for St. Louis City SC as a club. Most recently, if you weren't tuned in, City 2 with their 9th win. This one was at Energizer Park last night over Ventura County, and they did it in PKs. Yeah, they do it with their 9th win. And to join me now is somebody who was there, I believe, Charlie Bilyeu, University City High School journalist. He's been on KMOX with me before. Charlie, great to have you back.
How's it going, Jen?
Good. How was the game last night? It sounded fantastic. It looks fantastic on the highlights. How was it to be there?
Gosh, it was amazing. I mean, for a Wednesday night crowd, people showed up. The atmosphere was absolutely electric. Of course, they go down to start the match.
You got to make it interesting.
You got to make it interesting. In the 33rd minute, you had Tommy Musto of Ventura County scoring. But Mateo Kidd, after halftime, 57th minute, scored. Nothing after that until Pens, where City, of course, got the win. Absolutely electric atmosphere. They've just been playing so well recently.
Yeah, and it wasn't a surprise to me to know that Christian Oliveras had himself a night as well. You and I see him at training alongside Roman Berkey, alongside Ben Lunt on a regular basis. That had to be what a great way to come up, big for the team.
Yeah, I mean, Christian was amazing. Him and the opposing goalkeeper, JT Marcinkowski, for Ventura County were both amazing in the match. Oliveras, I mean, you talk about learning from, I would say, and I'm biased, but the best goalkeeper in Major League Soccer in Roman Berkey, a goalkeeper who is not only a veteran but has played overseas in the highest level in Germany with Borussia Dortmund. I mean, that is just a treasure trove of information that is getting passed down from Roman and Benjamin Loons to Christian Oliveras, and that's got to be so valuable for him.
Yeah. And you think about it later in this hour, we'll talk with Dale Schilly, of course, who was probably there if he wasn't out of town. He's now also, besides being the Academy Director, our game analyst on Y98, he is a City 2 assistant coach, wearing many hats. This club is to try and make everything work this year. We'll talk to Tom Timmerman as well. And at the end of the hour, we'll talk to, I had an interview with Haziel Orozco, City 2 player brought here for City 2, of course, making waves on the first team. Do you find, Charlie, when you're there, that line of sight into whether it's the first team here in St. Louis or a first team somewhere, that ability to be grown within that system is really something special?
It is. I see it something similar to, in the NHL, you have the AHL as the affiliate minor league. In the MLB, you have the minor leagues, you have AAA, kind of that place for players to prove themselves. And, if you're not with that first team, you're still playing the game you love and you're still getting paid to do it. I think that's the biggest thing. The oldest player on your team being 27, it's a very young squad. Makai Joyner just turned 18. Tyson Pierce is still under 18, right? Some of these guys can't even vote yet, but they're so skilled that you love to see them get time with the first team. You love to see them kind of strive to show, well, this is why I should play with the first team right now. And the ability to do that, I think, is unmatched from MLS to any other sport. Yeah,
in terms of having David Critchley, the interim, he was caretaker at first, of course, now interim head coach for the first team, and bringing guys up into training consistently, whether they're going to get time or not. But we know from David Critchley, if you're brought into training and you have a good training week, you could make a case for yourself. That has got to be something that sends vibes all the way down to the youngest levels of City Academy.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there's been guys in training, Tyson Pierce. You look at a guy that not many people have talked about. He hasn't gotten a nod with the first team yet, but Seth Antwi trained with the first team a couple times 2 weeks ago, and he's been amazing ever since. He was the most accurate passer at 95% last night at the City 2. Last night at the City 2 match. I mean, even just being in the room, gaining knowledge, listening more than you talk with these guys that have such profound experience within the sport is something extremely valuable. And having David Critchley there as that kind of pipeline, knowing you're not going in there blind, you're not having to learn a whole new system. It was similar last season when John Hackworth was the interim, right? You saw some young players get a chance. Not as much as this year. This year you've seen Makai Joyner get time with the first team, Brendan McSorley. You've seen Tyson Pierce, Jaziel Orozco, who's been doing absolutely amazing. I mean, the amount of opportunity we have from the second team is incredible.
I harp on this a lot. I think I've mentioned this a number of times, either the pregame show or postgame show or here on KMOX, is the ability for City to create an environment that you have to have a competitive environment, right? I don't want somebody taking my position. I want that position. At the same time, you have veteran players, whether they're a veteran on the first team like Celio Pompeu mentoring Tyson Pierce, as he told me last week, or you mentioned Seth Antwi. Dale Schilly told me that he was mentoring a City Academy player. And sometimes these are players that could potentially take your spot. But how hard and challenging and special it must be to be able to create an environment that has to be competitive, but also, as Critch says, competitive in the right way. You don't want anybody getting hurt. You don't want anybody, going off the rails and doing something they shouldn't, but try to keep that environment.
Yeah, I mean, we just talked about how the development is such a incredible factor for this team, producing talent on the second team that goes on to succeed in the first team, right? You talk about Celio Pompeu. He got his start with the next pro team before the first team played a match, right? So, I mean, the way that you talk about that competition, I think especially when you have a team that started out very cold with St. Louis here, who is, towards the bottom of the table in the West and in the league, I mean, you really have a sense of, you have to bring in a sense of, we have to have some urgency here, right? You have to have some urgency within the players. You have to say, well, we might be paying you this much money, but there's still guys below you who are fighting, with their claws to try to get time with the first team. They're trying their best. That's all they want to do. So bringing in some of that healthy competition has definitely strengthened some form for the first team as well.
Charlie, thanks for joining me tonight, and I look forward to another check-in on any of the teams we want to talk about with City. You game?
Of course.
All right, Charlie, I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.
Have a good one.
That was Charlie Bilyeu. He is a UCHS student journalist, class of 2027. And you can follow him, by the way. He produces great content on Twitter, X, at Bilyeu Charlie, Bilyeu Charlie, and you can find him there. He participates sometimes on podcasts, always produces articles, and produces a lot of good information, too, about some of the stats like he talked about this evening. More to come. We're going to switch over. We'll talk a little bit City, too, because our Dale Schilly is now an assistant coach there. So many hats that Dale wears. We're going to talk about the Portland win with the first team, the City 2 win just last night, and we'll catch up with Dale next on KMOX.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
We've been here 30 years, 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right, nice, soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
It just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, "Did you just have your house painted?" Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, "No, it's actually Rhino Shield."
877-25rhino.com.
In sitcoms, when someone has a problem, they just blurt it out and move on.
Well, I lost my job and my parakeet is missing. How was your day?
But the real world is different. Managing life's challenges can be overwhelming. So, what do? We get support. The Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council have mental health resources available for you at loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. See how much further you can go when you take care of your mental health.
It's Tom Ackerman for Innsbruck. Just the beautiful homes at Innsbruck. The new Sonnenhaus houses are available this year. The newest style of living, combining the modern exterior of a treehouse with cozy interior elements of a cottage into one convenient and comfortable residence that can transition from a vacation home to a permanent residence. And it's so close to St. Louis, just a half hour from Chesterfield, an hour from downtown. Innsbruck-resort.com.
When a parent struggles with addiction or dies from a drug overdose, what happens to their children? Far too many end up in foster care, unable to ever return to their birth homes because it's simply not safe. The Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption is fighting the clock so that teens don't age out of foster care, leaving them at a higher risk of addiction and other negative outcomes that can happen to a child without the love and stability of a permanent family. Learn more at davethomasfoundation.org.
Hey, it's Jeff Sachs at Sachs Financial, retiresafestl.com. Have you ever wondered what it's like to work with a financial advisor? Are you in your 50s or early 60s and really haven't talked to anybody about how you retire? Give me a call today. Check out our website, retiresafestl.com.
Don't miss Mosby Building Arts Home Improvement Show, Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on KMOX. One of the last call-in shows where you can get live answers to your remodeling, design, and construction questions. Tune in Saturdays at 11 a.m.
Now, back to the City Spotlight.
Our city, our spirit,
Once again, Jen Siess on KMOX.
That was Dale Schilly, St. Louis City Academy Director. He was alongside Joey Zanaboni as the game analyst on Y98 for the last City game where City defeated Portland but in a really phenomenally exciting game. Dale Schilly joins me now to update me on how many other job titles he has with St. Louis City because he's now City 2 assistant coach. Dale, is there anything else you're doing there at this point in time?
No. Don't put any thoughts in anybody's mind.
So before we segue, of course, into the first team, which is, what we usually sit and talk about, how about that City 2 win?
Yeah, I mean, we win it in PKs, so it goes down as a draw and the extra point, but feels like a win. We came from behind against a really good Ventura County team, which would be LA Galaxy's 2 team. And then we're just missing a lot of guys, and some academy kids had to step up, and all in all, the guys were really good. And when we've lost Tyson Pierce and Haziel Orozco to the first team, the guys did a phenomenal job stepping up against a good team.
Yeah, amazing just to see once again. We've talked about it from the first team, City 2 stepping up, and now you're mentioning the academy players stepping up. I can just only imagine what a system that keeps turning and churning like this. It's only been 2.5 seasons, maybe a little bit more if you count City 2's early days, but really only a very short time that we start to see it running on all cylinders makes for a promising future.
Yeah, and it's about 2 things, really. The players that you get in, so just the community and the quality of the players that are out there in the club systems, and then just figuring out how to create the pathway and be bold enough and brave enough to give the younger players an opportunity to play against the older guys, help spur their development, acts as a catalyst to help move them along a little bit quicker. So, yeah, it works on both ends. It works on from the clubs and who we're getting into the program at the younger ages, and then the process of the staff and the process of what goes on when you're training alongside of top players. And then on the way out, can you create the pathway so guys have the vision to where they can get to, and there's a means for them to get there.
Of course, it doesn't hurt when players are returning to availability from injury. It was nice to hear on the press conference today that David Critchley reported that Timo Baumgartel back in full session. Still seeing how many minutes, but it looks like he's, just frankly needs a final number. Edward Leuven's going to travel. So things are getting a little bit stronger in and of its own right for the first team.
Boy, what a difference Leuven makes when he comes into a game.
Right.
Just how much the game elevates the energy level of the players, the energy level of the crowd. I mean, the crowd was pulling for him in every moment, and just what he offers and what he brings to the game from a playing perspective for sure, but from a leadership perspective. And yeah, I mean, look, the guys I thought put together one of the better all-round performances of the year. On both sides of the ball. On the attacking side, we created enough chances. I think 2.1 on the XG, scored 2 goals. So, when you can hit close or right at your XG, that's good. And I thought we were more responsible on the defending side. We weren't just throwing caution to the wind and get as many numbers forward as possible. I thought we did a good job of rest defending, did a good job of just holding down the fort, if you will, when the rest of the group was, trying to create those opportunities and finish some chances. So really a good, solid performance as a whole.
Yeah, one of the favorite things I think I heard today, besides players coming back, was something that Coach Critch said about Vollum and Ostrak being on there and him admitting that it actually made it hard on him to put Leuven in because they were doing such a good job. In other words, it wasn't like I have to put Edward Leuven in because, oh my gosh, we're in trouble. They were doing a great job. Of course, Conrad Vollum doing the work that we know he can do, and Tomas Ostrak seeming to kind of start to find some stride in not only his technical ability, but that gritty level when it comes to, kind of making those extra tackles. It's kind of nice when you don't have to call in Edward Leuven. You can just have him as a bonus if you need to.
Sure. No, I mean, look, if Ostrak can make it hard for the staff to make those sort of decisions, that's good. And that always hasn't been the case. But in this one, in the Portland game, he was active, he was on the ball, but he's so good in tight spaces, but he lacks a little bit in the bigger picture and affecting the game away from him, where Leuven is so good at that.
Yeah,
and
that's
so
fair.
The game is just different. So even though Tomas had a good performance and really solid and did everything you could ask of him, when somebody else offers something completely different and at a different level, and he can still do the same things, then you got to take that risk, obviously. And then look, Critch certainly wasn't saying, boy, what do I do? Is it Ostrak or is it Leuven? Right. I think his point was Ostrak did a really good job, and we're really pleased with his performance. But, at the end of the day, this was Leuven and Roman's team a couple of years ago. We would like it to be that way again.
And the other thing is the partnership between him and Conrad Vollum Ostrak and Vollum seemed to work well. And it from what I heard of Critch talking, one, made it easier on the backs, especially the center backs, to trust that, hey, I can give the ball here and they're going to progress the ball forward, number one. And then number two, their ability then to allow Marcel Hartl, to go do what he was able to do, and that's be creative and attack.
Yeah, but think about it on the defending side as well. So that's where Vollum does so much for you. He wins so many 50-50s. How many balls that fall to the ground after an errant header or poor first touch does he get in and swoop up and intercept or win that 50-50 tackle to help start the game going off the other way? And that allows the center backs to do a good job on the defending side. It makes things easier for them. There's less unpredictable moments. They can see and predict what's going on, so it makes their job immensely easier. And then when you add the defensive job that Orozco did on the left side of the field, it even makes the center back job even easier if they know that there's not going to be service or penetration down one of the flanks. So, yeah, I mean, I think Conrad is a really good partner in the center of the park. I still like him wide because of his engine.
Right.
I don't think he's completely comfortable with his back to the rest of the field, but that's a personal preference on my side, and we don't have a better choice. He is the best choice to be the ball-winning, connecting midfield player. That's a good partner for an Ostrak or a Leuven.
Okay, so City and yourself and Joey Zanaboni traveling to Dallas, play FC Dallas. That I believe, if I still have the standings right after Wednesday night games, City was one of the few teams, I think, not to play on a Wednesday night. The first team, they played. They're still ahead of City in terms of the standings. And they're a team that likes to, talking with Critch, absorb pressure. They're not afraid to low block. It's not been a great success story for City in the past to try to break that down. What do they need to do to come out with at least one, hopefully three?
Yeah, I mean, I think anytime you get a team that sits deep, figuring out how you can get inside the box, trying to find ways to penetrate is obviously how we want to try to create chances. When they sit so deep, though, you may want to take some risks by shooting from distance, which that's one reason why Leuven would be an important part of this game. Getting around the corner, would be important as well. That's where, Celio not knowing where he's at and all that is a concern. But this is an important game because you said Dallas is just ahead of us in the table. But in the 10 games or whatever it is, the games that Critch has coached, so May 31st forward, we have more points than Dallas does in that period of time with the same number of games. So this is a game that, when you look at it from that perspective, is a game that we have a really good chance of getting 3 points in. So we need to put back-to-back good performances in, get a good performance here against against Dallas, like we did against Portland, like we did in the second half against Real Salt Lake. We can walk out of Dallas with 3 points, and now things start to turn and it gets a little more interesting. So let's remain relevant. Get 3 points. Let's be relevant.
Right. I just said that, Chris said today, the game right ahead of us. So that's, of course, what we're focused on. Dale, look forward to hearing from you and Joey on Saturday from Dallas.
Thank you.
That was Dale Schilly. He's our game analyst on Y98 and wears so many hats with St. Louis City. You could catch him and Joey Zanaboni on the Y98 broadcast Saturday, July 19th as City takes on FC Dallas away. Our pregame show starts there on Y98 at 7 p.m. with kickoff around 7:30. Hang with us on the City Spotlight. We'll have a visit with Tom Timmerman, beat writer covering all things St. Louis City SC for the Post-Dispatch. Tom's up next on KMOX.
The Dave Glover Show.
If you sit down with me and we talk about who I am, what I am, my values, political, voting record, you're never going to walk away and go, that guy's a bleeding heart progressive. I'm just not stupid. And I just don't take bait. And I just don't do things because you tell me to, or that I'm afraid that if I don't, fall in line or get on the bandwagon, people aren't going to like me. Been there, done that for years.
The Dave Glover Show, now on FM 104.1 FM, KMOX.
We started Neovitin because we wanted to create a multivitamin for ourselves. That's why we focus on quality ingredients and formulas with our multivitamins. Neovitin 50 Plus multivitamins are formulated with over 20 vitamins and minerals, along with our 4-ingredient physician-formulated proprietary blend for the highest quality daily nutritional support. Give Neovitin 50 Plus multivitamins a try for yourself. Find them at your local Schnucks, Dierbergs, and online at neovitin.com.
Cardinal Cowboy here. After proving the doctors wrong following my accident, I got back to baseball, started kicking field goals, then finally got paid as a pro kicker, and ultimately became a leader in the marketing world. That's why I trust Renner Garage Door, exceeding expectations for over 65 years. They service, sell, and install top brands like Delden, Amar, and LiftMaster. Get your free quote today. Check them out at RennerDoorSTL.com. Renner, forward and back. Giddy up!
RENNER, RENNER.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at Zero Res. Celebrate National Carpet Cleaning Month with Zero Res and purchase 3 rooms of carpet cleaned. Get 1 free room plus $50 off your air duct services. You can book online at ZeroResSTL.com and take advantage of the savings. So they were just out at my house about a month ago, and they've been out half a dozen times over the years. But I'm always impressed. They are punctual, they are professional, they are compassionate, they are courteous, they work their tails off, and they just flat out get your carpets, your upholstery, your air ducts as clean as the day they brought them in. It's St. Louis, it's the dog days of summer. Those carpets are going to be getting gamey. Maybe you dropped some toasted ravioli in there, some barbecue, whatever it is you put into them, we can get that back out. 314-474-2020 or ZeroResSTL.com. Spell it forward, spell it backwards. It's always the same, Zero Res.
Don't get lulled into believing the IRS is getting soft. It's just the opposite. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. We are being told by IRS collection officers that their higher-ups are demanding that they get more aggressive than ever. So don't ignore them any longer. Level up. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call the Lance Story Law Firm today and let us get between you and the IRS. We'll protect your rights, including your right to appeal or even your right to take the IRS to tax court. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney team who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Story Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis, or visit Lance, DRURY, law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Lance Story Law Firm, 314-260-6120.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
I'm getting older. Do I need to worry about falling?
Yes, you do. Every year, 1 in 4 people 65 and older will experience a fall, and many result in serious injury. The majority of falls happen at home, so take a look around. Replace bulbs and add lighting to help you see obstacles. Remove things that can make you trip. Fix uneven steps and floors, and install handrails in bathrooms and on stairs. Consider balance or strength training exercises, which can help with agility. Get your eyes and hearing checked regularly. changes in your hearing can affect your balance. To learn more, please talk to your doctor about steps you can take to help prevent a fall. You can also visit aarpfoundation.org or MedicareMadeClear.com/falls. This message was brought to you by United Healthcare and AARP Foundation.
Now, back to the City Spotlight.
Our city! Our spirit!
Once again, Jen Siess on KMOX.
Back on the City Spotlight, Jen Siess here. Well, St. Louis City SC has a new player coming to town. Senegalese defender Fallou Fall from the Norwegian club Fredrikstad FK. Interim head coach David Critchley spoke this week about the anticipation of Fallou's arrival. And who asked those questions was my guest joining me now, Tom Timmerman, city beat writer for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Tom, really great question. Are you as excited as my previous host of Sports Open Line, Nate Gatter, seems to be really excited about Fallou?
Yeah, Nate is thrilled. I mean, this is.
I know. He's never thrilled, and he's pretty thrilled tonight.
Yeah, it's something. And I mean, the fact that they paid a substantial transfer fee, probably the second largest in club history, other than for Klaus, to get him, says that this is an investment. This is almost as big an investment as this team has made in a player. Now it's a new 21-year-old left center back going to turn this season around. No,
right.
He's not. But as far as building for the future, as far as what he brings, and as far as if he develops the way they think he will, for what they may get from a transfer fee from him later on, is good for the club. So it's very interesting to see, because obviously they are big on him, and this is, which I think Nate appreciates, a statement on the part of the team that they're not just going to look for free transfers to build the roster with, that everyone is in play, that if they're going to pay a transfer fee for him.
Yeah, and of course, David Critchley talking about the fact he said he's got a left foot. They all have left foot, but of course he's left-footed, which, does, in my opinion, soccer is a two-footed sport. You can tell I've coached kids because it drives me crazy when they can only use one foot. Drives me nuts when I see them switch feet to go over the other. However, you are quicker with your dominant foot, so that gives City an advantage for whatever we do get out of Fallou. Should make the advancement. He's fast, I hear, 6'4". It's not bad. It's not bad to be tall back there. And so what he can potentially bring to the club in a short amount of time, might still be something and definitely good for the next year.
It is. And, they've got, with all the center backs they've got, the only one who's left-footed is Joachim Nielsen. And everyone's familiar with his situation where he's just been hurt so much that he hasn't been able to play.
Right.
And so this gives them an option that just didn't exist for when they want to swing the ball to the left and move it upfield. It will go much more smoothly that way. Yeah, I remember talking to Lori Kalupny, who was left-footed, and she said, yeah, she's, as a kid, she played with her left foot to be better with her left foot, and that got her, obviously talented in other ways too, but as far, with playing with the national team and all the things she accomplished, a very long professional career, and that was in part because of her left foot.
Yeah, exactly. My question, I wonder, and I know that it might not mean as much for down the line, but I wonder what impact that could then have on the ones we're used to seeing there, Jay Reed and Haziel Orozco, who we're really excited about lately, and what that could mean for their futures.
It is, because I think ultimately, they've got in the center back position, you've got Henry Kessler, you've got Timo Baumgartel, and you've got Joachim Nielsen. Those are your big three. If they were healthy, those are the ones we would expect to start. Now, with Fall being the only left-footed one, would he be in that center back spot, or do they look at him as a left back? That will be a decision. Now, for that to happen, though, it assumes that the other center backs are healthy,
right,
which is a major step with the way this team has gone. Looks like they'll get Baumgartel back this week, but who knows when Kessler or Nielsen is back. So it's depth that they certainly can't look away from, because that position has caused them so much trouble. But those other left backs, Roscoe and Reed are both really young guys, and not to say Fall is even younger, but that's Jonas Horn gave them an experienced player at that position. Now they're looking at a lot of left-sided players who are really young, and while the team is not averse to young guys, but it'll be something to see how that plays out. Or do they still need to go and look for a more experienced veteran left back?
Yeah, fair enough. And of course, City coming off the Portland win, which we're excited about. You and I thank you for having me, by the way, on your STL Talks podcast. It was fun to talk about the win. I am so glad I got to talk about a win and not a loss.
Thank you so much for being on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, they have Dallas come up, which we kind of previewed with Dale to talk about how they do that. And then, really looking a little bit further than that with you, there'll be one more game, I think, if I've got it counted right, before you've got the Aston Villa friendly, which is really kind of City's break. And of course, the action that's happening is transfer window time. I know it's secondary transfer window. It's not the primary. Might the beat writer have some beat on what could be happening?
No. It may be the secondary transfer window entitled names. But for Lutz Pfannenstiel, it is his favorite one, because he thinks, the better players are available. And because there are more players available, that the prices are better. There are reports, and I've been confirming me that they've been talking to Minnesota about a couple guys there to make a transfer.
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
Yeah, and so that's possible. But a lot of it depends on, I think it's going to depend on, as they look at the contract situation, and because they've got a lot of guys who are out of contract after this year, as to what they have internally decided are the moves they have to make, and as to who they're saying, okay, this is, someone who's going to move out, someone who there's interest in, or someone who they said, this contract's up and we're going to move in another direction. And do they move now to fill those spots? And that's something. And we've seen how things could change. You have to think that over the last 6 weeks, the attitude about Klaus has changed drastically.
Right.
He started scoring goals like this. Here's someone whose contract is up. They have an option on him for the following season. But, now all of a sudden, if he, scoring at the rate he's scoring, they're going to keep him, and they're going to maybe build around him more than they might have otherwise. So there's a lot of, variabilities out there that are going to depend on internal decisions, because there are openings, this team has needs. When you've only won 4 games, there are things this team needs to address, and some of them are, do they think some of these guys will come, will improve? Do they think Cedric Toyert will be back to what he was last year? How are those things going to play out, or do they need to look for other attackers? So there's a lot of options like that. But Sung Bin Young, who's the South Korean player with Minnesota, who would be the most intriguing of the players they might get from them. How does he fit in? Is he another Xande Silva who is not scoring and not playing in his current team, and you're hoping that a change of scenery will help?
Right.
Those are some of the factors that come into play on this. He would be another U22. They've got, since they've accepted the 2 DP 4 U22 spot roster building plan, they have one more U22 spot. So is that something that they would like to see Young fill, or are they going to look elsewhere? Things can change, but they're definitely in the market for another U22.
All right. Thanks, Tom. Thanks for joining me tonight, and I look forward to hearing you on City's post-game presser, hopefully talking about another win.
I won't be talking, I'll be asking, but thanks so much for having me, Jen.
You got it. That was Tom Timmerman. He's the beat writer for St. Louis City SC. Make sure you check him out at Tom Tim, Timm, with 2 M's, and find all his recent articles. Does a great job covering the team and giving us snippets of information wherever we can get them. Hang with us here on the City Spotlight. One more segment to go, and you'll get a preview of our next Y98 game player profile, and we're going to do it with City defender Haziel Orozco. He's up next on KMOX.
Hey guys, Glover here for Universal Windows Direct. Right now you can choose from payments as low as $99 a month or 12 months with no payments and no interest, plus a free in-home window and energy assessment from the leaders in the window business. Been with these guys now for a while, and they have treated me very well and my listeners very well. Many of you from the DGS have reached out to get a quote. As you know, they're always in the middle because they are just a solid company. Call 314-334-2522. Like me, you'll be saying, I love my windows.
Hi, I'm Andrew Suntrup. For over 30 years, St. Louis families have trusted Suntrup Ford Westport and Suntrup Ford Kirkwood as a proud, family-owned and operated dealership. We offer more than just great deals. We offer peace of mind. At Suntrup Ford, you'll find a huge selection of inventory to choose from, unmatched customer service, and our exclusive lifetime powertrain protection program. Visit in store or online at suntrupford.com. Save more at Suntrup Ford. Visit suntrupford.com.
At St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, we're fighting against childhood cancer every day. At the heart of this battle are our donors.
Most of us want to make some type of difference in the lives of others. St. Jude does miraculous work.
The fact that no one has to pay, it's a place where everyone is treated as an equal.
Everybody is welcome here, and it doesn't matter your religion or what part of the world you're from, all that is taken away. It just gives you some hope.
It's just a nice feeling to put your energy into something that really does genuinely make a difference in a child's life.
There's just no greater gift. If we have the ability to help, then we have a responsibility to help.
Finding cures, saving children. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Find out how you can help at stjude.org.
When someone hears the words, "You have cancer," it's one of the darkest moments in their life. Light the Night brings light to the darkness of cancer by uniting survivors, patients, and supporters in the cause to end cancer. Friends, families, and coworkers form a community of hope, raising funds in support of the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Together, we walk with lanterns held high to light the path to cures. Last year alone, the FDA approved 18 new drug therapies and treatments to treat blood cancers. The impact of LLS-supported research goes beyond blood cancer. The discoveries made in blood cancer research have led to breakthrough treatments for many cancers and other serious diseases. When we walk, cancer runs. Join the movement to end cancer today. Visit us at lightthenight.org.
It doesn't take a lot to make a big difference.
That's why we've teamed up with Jerry Kelly Heating and Cooling to bring you 100 acts of kindness.
For the next 6 months, the Chris and Amy Show is challenging you to spread kindness in simple, meaningful ways. No big budget needed.
Write a thank you note, help a neighbor, surprise someone with a smile. It all counts.
Let's prove that kindness is contagious. Share your acts with us by using hashtag 100KindActs.
Because a little kindness goes a long way.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hoped it'd go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Cause I never met a clog that was gonna unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
Now, back to the City Spotlight.
Our city! Our spirit!
Once again, Jen Siess on KMOX.
Well, the secondary transfer window is exciting, but won't get City the immediate impact they still need to keep stacking up points in the MLS. What can help, though, is looking from within, if you can. And City 2's Aziel Orozco has done just that with not only appearances, but starts in the last 2 games for the first team. Here's what interim head coach David Critchley had to say about his performance. Might we see an announcement of a first-team signing soon? Never know. Keep your eyes out. But in the meantime, Hazy and I caught up after training on Tuesday to talk about his path to the first team and how it ironically started facing off against his prior club, Real Salt Lake. That was St. Louis City defender Haziel Orozco, and I say it really generally like that because he is City. He is City 2. He's had his 2 appearances with the first team, and I don't think he can do any more unless, something more official happens. So stay tuned. You never know with Lutz Pfannenstiel. He likes he and City like to drop that news and surprise you when you wake up in the morning, as happened to be before. So hopefully we look forward to see Hazi soon. And also I say defender because with City 2, of course, he is more of a left center back. With St. Louis City, Critch challenged him to go out on the left wing. He talked a little bit there in his interview about what those different kind of challenges are for him, and I think he's stepping up quite nicely. Wow. Well, an hour has already gone by, Daniel. Daniel Hincap's been on the control, so thanks to him for keeping all this on track. If you missed any part of this City Spotlight with our guests, Charlie Bilyeu, with Dale Schilly, with Tom Zimmerman, and then even listening back to this player profile with Haziel Orozco, you can always find it for free under the Odyssey app in the podcast sections. It also has previous pregame content that you find on all City broadcasts. In fact, the next City broadcast will be the next MLS regular season game for St. Louis City. They're away at FC Dallas this Saturday, July 19th, kickoff at 7:30, and we always have pregame 30 minutes prior to published kickoff, so that'll start at 7 p.m. on our sister station, Y98. I'm Jen Siess, and thanks for tuning in to the City Spotlight on KMOX.
Create the ultimate raised bed garden with St. Louis Composting. Our premium compost and soil mixes are perfect for filling the raised beds you'll enjoy building, and even better for growing fresh, homegrown veggies. Imagine harvesting your own tomatoes, peppers, and cilantro for fresh salsa the whole family can enjoy. And with delivery right to your door, getting started